All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for joining us. My name is Andrew Goodwin. I'm the president of the American Institute of Architects California Central Coast chapter. We brought together 3 individuals today to talk a little bit about designing and planning a project within the county and the cities on our Central Coast. Today we have Jessica Steele from Simsco Builders, contractor by nature, and she has some great experience in the past with architecture as well. And Steve Hicks, who is a retired supervisor, plans examiner from the county, among many other agencies under his track record. And again, I'm Andrew Goodwin. I'm an architect and the president of the AIA. Thank you again for joining us, and I'm going to hand this over to Steve Hicks to talk first and foremost about getting involved and planning and where to go. So Steve?
Thank you, Andrew. All right, representing the Central Coast chapter, we're here to help you learn to get through the building maze, what it's going to take, and to push our organization, the Central Coast chapter of AIA, because architects help get you through the maze. And that's our website right there, aiacentralcoast.org. Each division where you have to go get your permit, each jurisdiction, it has its own maze. It creates its own laws. And who better to know that than the local AIA architects from the Central Coast chapter? They know this maze better than most people. This is just a diagram of the county's flow process, what it takes to get a permit through the system. You have to turn your plans in. The plans go through a processing and plan check permitting system before you get your conditions and pay for your permit. So to help you through that, you have your architect that goes to the building and safety department with all the plans that are needed. And here's a little bit of the picture of the maze. Usually you have to get permission from your planning department. They give you the mother may I permission. Yes, I may use my property this way. And then, well, sometimes that means getting an environmental review. Sometimes that means going before the Planning Commission or the ARC. You know, there's a lot involved in going through a planning department. So that's the first step. Then your building department wants to know how it's done. They want to see the construction documents. And that's where your architect helps you through both those 2 departments. Then there's the fire department. Are they going to let you build in that fire zone? How are you going to have to build it? There's new wildland urban interface requirements that architects know about. Then your public works department. Are they going to make you widen your driveway or pave the curb, gutter, and sidewalk around your property if it's not done? Do you have water and sewer? Is your grading going to have to go before the Water Quality Control Board to get a permit through them? Are you doing any dust or discharge? You might need the Air Pollution Control District. And then there's Fish and Game if you're working near any creeks or rivers. Then there's the Corps of Engineer if you have any wetlands or waterways. Then there's the Coastal Commission if you're in the coastal area. So, and then in the county, there was always the Ag Commissioner if you're next to farmlands. So, and last but not least, there's all those people that don't want it to be built in my backyard or near me. The NIMBY people that say, not in my backyard. But sometimes your homeowners association can really impact whether or not you can develop something or your project. So, we have right here, we're going to hand some of these out. Oh, we have them on your chairs. Is a checklist that helps you know what to ask at each different, usually counter in each jurisdiction. And that's, here's your planning questions on that sheet that's in front of you. Here are your building department questions. And then your public works questions. And this is so you can ask them intelligent questions when you go to their counter. Here's the fire department questions. If you make an addition onto your house, will you have to sprinkler it? Will you have to retrofit sprinklers in your entire house when you add a certain portion to your house? And the answer to that is yes, in the county, depending upon how much you add. So, and then there's other agencies, and one of the most, when you go through that list, one of the agencies there is your school districts. Your school districts are going to enact a fee for every square foot that you add on, if it's over 500 square feet. So, here's a checklist to start building your team when you go to the planning counter and ask, Mother, may I? So, do I need an architect? And the answer is, and sorry it's in red, yes, you need an AIA architect to help you get you through this maze and to help you decide. Do you need a planning consultant, a coastal commission consultant, a land use lawyer, a biologist, because you might have to do a plant study, an archaeologist, if you run into any bones, pottery, etc. Do you need a title company for easements or access? Do you need a surveyor? Do you need a licensed surveyor to map this out? Do you need an engineer when you're starting to ask these questions? So those are just the planning department questions. And then you have your building. Do you have a clean permit history? That's one of the things it asks. Do you need an architect for the amount of construction you're proposing? Most of the time, yes, you need an architect, and we recommend an AIA architect because they know if you're going to need a geologist, what zone are you in. They are your permit pusher most of the time. Will you need a structural engineer? Are you getting into some major structural issues? Moving walls or, most new construction, you do need that. Will you need a soils engineer? Once again, a title company. A lot of times, the architect is your energy consultant, or they know all the energy consultants out there. Will you need a green consultant? Because there's a new green code. A civil engineer, a well driller, a licensed contractor. They have the relationships, the architects have the relationships to build a team. Okay, and then at the public works counter we ask, do you need a civil engineer, a traffic engineer? Will you need an encroachment permit to go from your new driveway onto the public right away? An erosion control specialist, a track map, improvement plans if you're doing new street work, or you have to widen your street or put in curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Banker, major bank loans for road fees. Sometimes road fees are very expensive in certain jurisdictions, so you might have to go to the bank. Caltrans, if you're on, Highway 46 or one of the major, Caltrans roads, you might need a permit from them. A recycle plan for your waste management. Stormwater plan, that's the big deal nowadays. And will you need a SWIP, a stormwater pollution prevention plan? If you're disturbing more than an acre in your project, yes you will. And then fire, a lot of times all new homes have to be sprinkled, so you'll need a fire protection engineer and a sprinkler contractor, sometimes a mechanical engineer, but your local, come on, help me out here, community service district, has to give you the water for that fire sprinkler system. And then the fire department's really going to be caring about how the house is constructed when it's out in the wildland urban area so that it doesn't burn down in a wildland fire. So then there's the other agencies that you have to ask, do I need a political consultant to get through the homeowners association? Do I have water and sewer? Do I need a health permit because I'm building a public pool or a restaurant? will I need to go through the Water Quality Control Board or the Air Pollution Control Board or the Fish and Game or the Corps of Engineers, or have to go through the Ag Commissioner if I'm too close to farmland with my new ranch house? All these questions are questions that, or do I need a bike trail? In some parts of the county you do. Through their professional organization, AIA architects build the relationships between all these jurisdictions and all the different counters and people that they have to work with. That's what they do every day. So they handle most projects, being project managers and taking the client from start to finish, and they help build a team of these consultants for you. So you can see the results of this collaboration at the AIA Home Tour on May 21st coming up. We have some handouts, for that also. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to...
Thank you. So what Steve outlined and what he was very adamant about the maze and how confusing it can be really comes down to one simple thing in our eyes, and it is to hire an AIA architect or an architect right away to understand and to guide you through the path. I look at my job being basically the person that all of the burden is put on for my clients. I would rather be the person going to the counter. I would rather be the person going to all the agencies and making the relationships and talking with my relationships rather than my clients, because my clients have better things to do. And that is what I'm here for. And so ultimately, as an AIA member and as the president, we are here to urge you to, if you do have a project, to get in touch with us. The AIA Central Coast is made up of 80 or so different architects and associates that have this great relationship and this great teamwork. As an AIA member, I can go and talk to my builders that we've made partnerships and agreements with over the past, and really get them involved from the beginning. And that's what we're here to do. And with that, I actually want to bring up Jessica to talk a little bit more about team building and what that really looks like from her standpoint.
Hi there. So I'm Jessica Steele. I'm with Sense and Company Builders. We're a local home builder in the county. We've been here 40 years. And I've been with the company now 13 since Cal Poly, and it's been really fabulous. I found this company because I believed in their mission and their values of building sustainable homes, but also doing it from a very collaborative perspective. One of the biggest things is the old paradigm of design, bid, build. So you have your architect, who's absolutely an important part of the puzzle. I hear people all the time that want to buy plans off the internet that are not tailored to the site. I don't know. It's really important because we have our special climate here. We have different engineering that has to be done because of our seismic zone. So making sure that the house design fits the site is critical. But anyhow, so one of the things I see in the past is when someone has a full design, they go through the permitting process, which is pretty daunting and pretty expensive. And by the end, then they go out and they get 3 bids from 3 different contractors. And what happens is, in many cases, they're all over the target budget. So what we do is we collaborate with the architect from day one, and we're able to actually create a budget for the client before the design process really gets going. So what that means is, all the time I hear, so what's cost per square foot? I'm sure you've all asked that question or heard people ask it before. And, well, it's always, the answer is, it depends, right? But you might have a builder in the county that says, I can build for you for $175 a square foot. Well, the question is, what does that include? So it's really important to think, yes, I've got a home, right? And that's going to cost a certain amount of money. But depending on the lot, and this same would go for an addition or a remodel, there are all the other elements that create the total cost of the project. So whether that might be $80,000 to bring power to the property. Maybe that you have a really long driveway, or the septic system needs to be installed. We have extensive grading and retaining walls and drainage to consider. And when you're looking at your all-in cost, it's really important to consider the cost of the architect and all those various consultants that may or may not be relevant to your project. So I'd encourage you to educate yourself on costs before you get too far down the road, and a good architect is going to develop that team early on and help everyone understand what the all-in costs are going to be. So I'd say that's really important, is to, again, develop the team. You can develop the trust. There are a number of different contract kind of structures. You can do the fixed price contract, where you just get a final number, or you can do a time and materials contract, which makes some people feel better, and that is only for new homes. It's not legal for a time and material home improvement contract, but if some people want to be able to see every bid, to know that you got 3 plumbing numbers and you went with the middle one, but it wasn't much higher than the low one, and it can really reassure people that you're getting good value. Definitely go with a licensed contractor. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. Everybody knows that. But so for Sims & Company, that's been our biggest success, is teaming up with local architects that know what they're doing, that can get you through the hoops. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a client who bought 5 acres in Templeton, just bare land, but it had a productive well. He knew that he wanted to build a custom home for him and his wife to retire, but they didn't really want to get down that road too far. They were thinking maybe 5 years we'll do that. But what they wanted to do now was to go ahead and build a really nice big barn, so he could store his tractor, right? He's moving here from San Francisco, he wants his tractor. So so we went through the plan, went ahead, designed the barn, the architect, we had it all put together. And then go into the building department, and on a parcel less than 10 acres, zoned ag, you cannot put the barn before the house. Did you guys follow that? So my point is that this guy went to a long kind of process, and if he would have had a good local licensed architect, he would have been able to know that there are planning rules that you can't put a barn before the house unless you have 10 acres. So these are sometimes things that make you a little bit forlorn, that there are a lot of rules, but they're all in good, the spirit of the laws are all really kind of effective in their own right. So I'd say encourage you to, again, kind of get your budget in order early on. Work with a good architect that'll get you through all the hoops. I don't know, are any of you looking to thinking about building a home from scratch, or more doing remodels? A new home? Yeah. So a lot of times we tell people it'll take about a year to plan and a year to build. And I think those are important things, timelines to consider, because it's same as money. I think HGTV has kind of diluted our understanding of what construction time and costs really are. And so to think that you're going to actually need good time with the architect, you're going to have to go through the schematic design phase, which is where they just do basic floor plan and elevations to make sure that you get to a design that you really like. And then at that point, a good builder can put hard costs to that number as well. I mean, we use our historical costing data. And at that point, you're making a small investment with the architect before you start bringing on all the expensive consultants. And so those are all really valuable tips. Okay.
Yeah, so before Steve has to get out of here, let's do some Q&A. Does anybody have any questions for us about the process or about your project in particular, or anything that you have found kind of questionable about this county, any agency within the Central Coast, or just building in general?
Any questions out there?
Waiting list. Yeah, waiting list for wells. Have you heard that there's any?
No.
Yeah.
Casserole is groundwater basin district. You have to essentially bond through the process. You have to pay a fee. But no, if it's already an entitled lot, you can drill.
Yeah, you can drill from day one. The only thing there is that it's just depending on your well driller.
A good timeline. Yeah, they're looking out pretty far right now.
Yeah, AG, there hasn't been any waiting list from what we know. No.
It's strictly a matter of the well drillers are very busy. Sometimes they have the waiting time. But you get your permits for a well from the county health department. That's just a ministerial, they're not denying them. But when you build a house in the county, there's a water conservation fee if you're in certain groundwater areas that you have to pay that. Sometimes it's up to like $6,000 for a house. Any other questions?
Anything else? So again, we are the AIA. We'll give out some handouts for the AIA Central Coast home tour that's coming up. But it is our suggestion, our recommendation, no matter where you are in the United States, to look up the AIA's chapter, local chapter, because their connections are what's going to help you get through the maze. Thank you.